the long-term interests of the country. I think that is absolutely a key. The other point I make is this. You know, we did both have a choice. We looked at the option and we talked about it extensively about, you know, a minority government backed with a confidence and supply agreement. And we had a meeting about it over the last couple of days. We just sort of looked at it and thought, this is so uninspiring. You know, we could do it. It might last for a month or 6 months or maybe a year or perhaps a bit longer. But it's not actually going to do what we came into politics to achieve. We want to give the country good government. We want to sort out the problems of the debt and the deficit and the problems of public services. This wouldn't have done anything. It might have put me in here, in there, but it wouldn't actually mean anything. And we both looked at each other and said, this is really uninspiring. Let's aim for something bigger and better so we can actually change the face of politics and get something done. That is really worth it.
Well, the only thing I'd add, I mean, all of that is absolutely right. But look, people last Thursday, in the ballot box, told us politicians they didn't think any party deserved an outright majority. Yet at the same time, it's obvious that we need stability. So the only way you can create stability is by creating a government, a coalition government, which lasts. And no government lasts, whether it's a coalition or, frankly, even if it's one party in government, unless it has a common purpose. And what I think David and I both have tried to set out today is that, yes, of course, we've been working over the last several days on specific policies and how we're going to advance them and how, of course, we're going to have to make compromises. We've both made compromises. But a government, a good government that lasts, is also one that is underpinned by a common purpose. And that, you know, we might use different words, but is based on the simple idea of course, restoring stability to our economy, but also giving power back to people, giving people more opportunity in their everyday lives.
Nick Roberts.
So BBC News. Thank you, Prime Minister. On the morning after the night before, did you not think, I'm hooked up to someone for 5 years who I barely know and have barely spoken to? And is the country now under permanent joint leadership? Will we see you again and again at each other's sides, talking to prime ministers and presidents, declaring war, saving the economy? Is that how it's going to be?
Well, you're getting a bit advanced, I think, on some of those ideas. What I woke up this morning thinking was not just the huge responsibilities that now land on my shoulders, but thinking this is so much better than the alternative. Yeah. There's really some things we can do over these next 5 years to sort out the country's problems, to give people power and control over their lives, to sort out our politics. And a great sense, actually, of sort of inspiration and excitement hit me that this is much more than what could have been. And I think we've taken perhaps the more difficult path, but the far more worthwhile one. Are we going to do things together? Yes, of course, we should. This is not just two teams trying to work together. It's two teams trying to form one strong team in government. Of course, we are separate parties, and we've already talked about the Thirsk and Bolton by-election. Perhaps we'll share a car to save the petrol.
Get out on opposite sides.
But of course we should do things together because this is a joint endeavour, not two competing teams trying to occupy office at the same time. Adam Bolton, Sky.
Sky News. Just picking up on that, I was wondering, on the sort of political reform agenda, what plans you have, if any, to reform Prime Minister's questions in the House of Commons, whether you're going to do monthly Prime Ministerial news conferences, whether those will be double acts. And just finally, you both signed up for a 5-year term. That would be 10 years if you were re-elected, or if Mr Cameron was re-elected. Can we assume that the next general election would be the last one you would fight? In other words, you would term limit yourself at a maximum of 10 years.
That is taking me a bit further than I'm ready to go. On the Prime Minister's questions and all of that, that is one thing we have discussed, that Prime Minister's questions, obviously I will answer as Prime Minister. If I'm away, Nick will stand in as Deputy Prime Minister and answer those questions. It's obviously going to be quite a different beast, Prime Minister's questions. In terms of press conferences, we haven't discussed that. We're going through a range of things and working out how best to make the coalition work in a proper, positive way. But most of the areas we've looked at, actually, we found agreement quite quickly. One of the things that I think encouraged both of us that this was the right thing to do was the way the negotiating teams worked together. Danny Alexander and Oliver Letwin and William Hague and Chris Huhne, they were finding, as they went through areas, there were good ways of resolving differences. The thing about the agreement which we have now published is it does bite off the difficult areas first and say, look, let's resolve those, and then we have the full coalition agreement, which will go through some of the more familiar territories. So, in as far as we're resolving these issues, I'd say it's going very well.
Yeah, I mean, you can ask lots of what happens next, what happens next. I mean, there's going to be a lot of change. I mean, I've been advocating new politics for a long time. This is what new politics looks like. And it means that in other parts of our politics, things will look differently as well. And I think we're just proceeding with a very open mind about how you do that.
But after debate, I was just thinking about the whole Punch and Judy approach, which I think you both criticise, whether you think Prime Minister's questions as that concept even works any longer.
Different, because obviously I'm not going to be answering Nick's questions, but he's going to be answering some of mine. So that is a signal of, because if I'm not there, you're going to be answering my questions.
Oh, I see, right. Yeah.
That's
confusing.
I'm looking forward to a lot of foreign travel. But obviously looking forward to answering questions from Harriet Harman. John Snow.
Could I just ask you a bit more about the biology, Prime Minister? Where will Nick Clegg actually function from? Will he be in Downing Street with you? Does he have an office in there? Will he live at number 11 in some way? Or what's the deal? If the phone rings at 3 in the morning and, well, do you both have to answer it?
Nick is Deputy Prime Minister. He is going to be responsible for political reform, so many of the questions have been raised about fixed-term parliaments, and that will be his responsibility. He has the Deputy Prime Minister's office in the Cabinet Office. We'll be working, we haven't yet explored all each other's offices, but it's pretty close together. This is not going to be a partnership where we have to book meetings or, schedule phone calls.
Yeah, there's a corridor that links number 10 to where I am, but I have no idea where I am. It's a rabbit warren in there, but it's in close proximity to each other.
Excellent. Very good. No, but they're permanently open, I'm told. Sorry, Tom Bradbury.
I'm tempted to say that what you really meant to say in the election campaign was, I agree with Nick. But anyway, let's move on. This is a charming love-in, but what sceptics say is that the left of the Liberal Democrat Party and the right of the Tory Party are so far apart that however much you might have the best of intentions, it can just never hold together for very long.
The point I'd make, this will succeed through its success. If we can demonstrate that this is a good government, a long-term government, taking difficult decisions in the national interest, that we are working well together, that it has this common purpose that Nick's spoken about, if it does that, then people, as you're right in saying that, people, whatever wing of whatever party, will see a good government and will respect that. What is politics and public? It's all about public service in the national interest. If we can demonstrate that's what we're delivering, whatever person or whatever wing of whatever party will say this is a good government. That's the only way you convince people.
Yeah, I mean, look, there are always going to be sceptics, and there are always going to be 1,001 reasons why you don't try something new. Are both of us taking big risks? Yes. Are both our parties taking a very, very big step, which is historically utterly different to what has happened in the past? Yes. I mean, I've been locked with my colleagues into to discussions the last several nights into the small hours, struggling with this, talking about it. In the end, there was an overwhelming support in my parliamentary party and in the federal executive of the Liberal Democrats for this, because we all collectively recognised it was the right thing to do for the country at this time, and that we could do it together. And we will now have to show the sceptics who predict that it will go wrong, that they are wrong.
Andy Bell.